My brother Mike back there. Okay, poor Mike.
Tell them this. Tell them this.
Yeah, so
this
Mike,
is shocking.
I wanted to point out how far away from other kids we live. And in the 70s, Mike, I guess, Mike and his buddy were up playing in what was a gravel pit behind our house, I guess, was the only thing in hills. And they saw this car pull up. And then two guys get out, like fedoras, like looking like movie monsters, and they take something, they go in the woods, and they get something, and Mike and his buddy are watching, and they have something in a rolled up carpet, and they're taking it out, and like this arm dangles down, and they had gone to in the woods to get a body they had dumped. They put it in the car, and they drive out. And then the cops came, and it was all real, and Mike had witnessed these guys taking a body out of the woods. And so that's why I want to say, we live so far away from town to where you would dump a body to hide it. Next, and go like, this is perfectly fine. No one's ever going to find it. That's where we live. Yeah.
Look, I get the point that you want to talk about how far away it is, but it's a dead body. Like, did you just go throw that in the book and then just carry on like nothing?
Yeah, I thought
there's a dead body.
There's a newspaper clipping I found. Yeah, there's a newspaper clipping I found.
I know. So I called the police for you about that.
Yeah.
Right. Like since well before the book came out, but when I had to have the book, so I called them.
And what did they say?
I said, was there a dead body? Like, and they said, what year was it? I said, I don't know, like 73, 74. They're like,
no, it was before that. What?
73, you told me. So anyway.
I don't know, whatever year it was. Yeah.
They said yes, there was something, but they couldn't. I asked them, like, was the body ever, was the
no, they never found the person.
Or whatever.
They tried to block the road, but the time back in those days was like, they had to call up the cops to be like, Mike saw a dead body, maybe. The cop would come up. Mike, you see a dead body, did you? Yes. Yes, now. Where's that to? Over there, was it? Jeez, boy, Rich. Hold it. Suppose we have lunch and have a look at that. Like, by the time they made the announcement and blocked the roads, like, my youngest son had been born. Like,
But there was forensic testing that showed
they did forensic testing that a body had been in that thing.
Yeah, it's real. So they told me there's something, but that their archives are not kept that far back on site, and that they would have to go down in a vault and check it.
Which means nobody wrote nothing down in scribblers back then.
Well, maybe they're just retired now. They said they have to kind of, you know what I mean? So.
Or maybe they're the ones who dumped the body.
Started, because there are people that believe that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All kinds of,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I guess, is there going to be another book? You got a 3-book deal.
Yeah, there has to be contractually, there will be another book.
Right.
I don't know when it will be yet, but yeah, I really enjoyed writing this thing, and it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed the process, and I missed it once it was over, once I finished writing it, because I really enjoyed it a lot, and it was great.
So you think maybe, a sequel to this one, or one more on your comedy life, or are you not sure? Poetry?
It's just going to be beat poetry. I could pick up, and do the rest of things, because there's a lot of crazy stories there. I might just do some essays. I don't know. I wait to see how this goes, and if there's if people hate it and there's a book burning in Churchill Square, I just won't do another one. And if it does okay, then I will.
I've asked you this before. Is it strange, your material is always presented on stage, and, most of your material is not written, and maybe personal, but not that personal. Was it hard or nerve-wracking for you to put this down and then put it in the hands of an editor, and you can't develop it as you go? You can't. It's not.
Well, it's fine. It's like with comedy, it's the only art form where, if you call it that, where you know right away if people liked it or not, because when people laugh, it's like sneezing. It's uncontrollable. You can't decide to fake it like you can if you clap it at somebody's horrible concerto or whatever, or go, that is a lovely painting, Bob. Like, you can't. If you don't laugh, you fail every time you say something. If someone doesn't laugh, so with this, it's like a bunch of stuff, and you put it out there, and you don't know. And I try to be I was worried about different people reading it, what would they think, whatever. I was mostly worried about my brother. I thought, oh God, is this going to be a thing? We're like, how come the Critch brothers don't talk no more? Mark talked about that body. He's still, you never know. But Mike wrote me a lovely note after he read it and stuff. And so his support was the thing I was worried about, and everything else, we just go shag and stuff. No, I was worried, yeah. So I went to Toronto, and they had this big book club thing, where they'd all gotten advanced copies of the book, and then they made a meal to pair with the book. in this restaurant of like fancy Jake's dinner kind of thing. And so there's all these bookie people, you know, like, you know, a lot of cardigans and a lot of like, you know, well, I thought it was like that kind of thing. And then they all had questions about the book, like they had actually read it. And they were asking, and I was like, how did you know that? And I'm like, oh, right, I published it. So you kind of, there's such a gap between writing it and it coming out that you kind of are looking at it anew for the first time. So it's very interesting talking to people who've read it. I find that interesting.
And the feedback has been great so far. No?
So far,
it's already a bestseller. That's true. It's already.
Yeah, well, for ebooks, yeah.
For sure. And I guess we should note that there is an audio version for those of you who read it. You're going to hear his voice anyway. When you read it yourself, you're going to hear it in his voice. So
yes, right. So I did the audio book as well, and that's out there. And Greg Malone directed it. The great Greg Malone, one of my comedy heroes, directed the audiobook. So that was a lot of fun.
Amazing.
You're giving us the eye there now. We got to stop this, do we?
Keep going.
You good because you just want to kick us out? No. If you don't buy something, you got to leave, buddy.
Yes,
Sorry.
just remember that.
What? You've got 2 sons, Jake and Will.
What? Is this like Maury? Yeah.
What?
I deny everything. Jacob, my son, is right there. Jacob, very cool.
What do they? I mean, did they know you were naked on stage? Did they know all the stuff that you did?
I guess he knew fair. Didn't you know about the naked on stage thing, son? Unfortunately, he did. Yeah.
So rolling his eyes like.
Different new things. Like my younger son, Will, is 15, and so I wrote a lot of it at my cabin out in Trinity. So you'd write it, and then to pass him a chapter to have a look, and he'd be like, "What? They weren't allowed to hit you in school, were they?" I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah." Did they call the cops? No, so he was more shocked at the time. You know, sure he had more than Pepsis and buns to eat. No, and so that kind of thing. You know, he was just shocked at being outdoors as a child. You know, like today it's like, but he hurt your feelings. Did the cop what happened? No, nothing. There's no inquiry. I just got beaten up. You know, and so he was more shocked at the times. But I think they're pretty used to being embarrassed by now of me.
He's gone. Oh, no, he's looking at
Poor Jacob. Jacob's been through a lot of, embarrassment of parent, I would say, that kind of thing. Did your dad have his shirt off behind Justin Trudeau? Yeah. So, I apologize, son.
Excellent. So, have you started the second one yet? No, you haven't.
No,
you don't even know
no.
what it's going to be.
No, I'll start this summer. Yeah, figure out, have a couple of meetings with them. But they're very supportive. They're great. I must say, Penguin people are really, really great. Yeah.
So you've got, acting and Concord. Now you're a writer as well. What are you gonna do, like Alan Doyle, and take up music and?
Oh yeah, that's what I'll do now. Yeah, I'm gonna be a sculptor next. No, but this is kind of the same.
But you can sing. To be fair, he can.
I can.
Yes, he can.
Okay.
Yes, he can.
Well,
I didn't say do it.
I
didn't say do it. I'm
Okay,
just
apologize.
saying you can.
Kick it. No, it's the same kind of thing that I've always. It's writing. Like I've wrote plays. I used to write a column. I've written sketches. So it's all the same thing. It's just a different form, a longer form, and it's interesting because you can say more, you can play more, and you're not always like trying to have a joke every second. Like you can have a little more heart in it and stuff. And so I really enjoy the process a lot.
Perfect. I think we're gonna see if anyone has any questions to ask you now.
Does anyone have a question? When are you going to sign the book so we can get out of here? Good question.
No one?
Right there.
I just want to say I read a column that you wrote in the Globe this morning. I think someone from CBC tweeted it, and it was really well written. A different kind of a column from what we're hearing today. But
So it was why you stay in Newfoundland, Labrador, why you don't move away when everybody's moving away.
I wrote a column for the Globe Mail today that's in today's paper, which if they sold it here in paper form, you'd be able to get, but you can't. So you can go see it online, but it's not behind a paywall. So you can actually read it and have a look and see if you want, or you can subscribe to Globe Mail and support them, but they don't bring their paper here, so shame.
Why do you stay here?
Well, I got two wonderful. Newfoundland, Labrador. We go through great waves over 500 years of booms and busts and booms and busts, and I think you live here. Through good and bad because of the place, because of the people. Our greatest natural resource is not oil, it is not the fishery, it is our people. And that is why there's a hit Broadway musical that is solely there because of human kindness, and that is why we will be here. And the people, we're going to survive. But you had to survive in your own shape and times. Like, it's not always going to be bus times, and we had to realize that we're very few people. on a big rock in the ocean. And so it's not all that's going to be like, oh, about 17 trucks just stay in the sun, don't even drive. You can't do that. We have the key, you know, like, it'll be great bus times, but we're going to get there. We are survivors, and we will get through this storm as we have thousands.
Anyone else? Yes?
Who are your comedic influences growing up?
Comedic influences growing up. My brother is a big comedic influence of mine. He's one of the funniest people I've ever met. I would say he gave me my music and my comedic influences, and it's kind of cool having a cool older brother, so you get to have actually, you know, cool references.
You've got a story about Dickie.
Dickie Budgell. Greg Malone, Tommy Sexton would probably be. I remember watching them going, I want to do that. What I liked about that was that they wrote and created stuff, and they didn't try and change who they were to make it in the States or in Canada or something like that. Like, they were Newfoundlanders telling Newfoundland stories on television, and everybody else in the country was going, okay, that's cool, I'm into that, rather than trying to change to be like someone else. So I remember being in first grade saying, that's what I want to do for a living. I didn't want to be Fonzie or Jack Tripper. I wanted to be them, because I thought it was amazing what they did. And those guys, Mark Short, huge. I love him, and like Eugene Levy and all the SCTV guys as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
Hey, Mark got in trouble in kindergarten. Mark learned the hard way what happens when you talk about Dickie Budgell during prayers.
Yeah, I was in grade one.
And it gets overheard.
I was in grade one, and I was saying Dick to Mickey Westcott, I liked Dickie. Did you see Dickie last night? Talking about Wonderful Grand Band character Dickie Budgell. I lost Dickie. We had a substitute nun, and Tracy Barnable overheard me say Dickie and ratted me out to the nun. I was swearing in class. The nun wrote down a note, asked me what I said. I said, I never said nothing. I didn't know what was going on. Sent down to the office, got a little strap 3 times on each hand, came back, and I read the note. I said, I'm going to read the note. She told me I have to read the note. I said, Mark swore in class, he said Dickie. I said, freak that. That's, you know, so yeah, I got strapped to top of Dickie Budgell at St. Teresa's.
Yeah, but you didn't know what they were talking about. And the principal tried to make you fess up, right? Was like,
I tried to say
tell me what word you said, and Mark was like,
yeah,
I just said a word.
Said like the S word or something like that, just to try and end the conversation, because it was clear what was going to happen.
No, not that word. Try again.
Yeah, not that word. Yeah, poor old Dickie Budgell. But those guys are amazing. I mean, they blaze the whole trail. That if you look at Wonderful Grand Band, myself, Mercer, Alan Doyle, everybody, like, we would not be doing what we're still just wishing we were in the Wonderful Grand Band. So if it wasn't for that one show, none of us would have a career, because it's what influenced all to do it.
Anyone else? Another question?
That's about it.
You're that good. You're
You're
that
that
good,
good.
Mr. Critch.
Well, thank you so much for coming out. I know there's a lot of stuff to do today. It's Saturday Farmers Market, eh? Lots to do, but thank you so much for coming out. It means the world to me that you were. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
So I think Mark is going to be around to sign some copies of the book. We've got your copy here.
Oh yeah, one more thing, folks. My friends Andrew Fury and Alan Doyle and Brendan Paddock. What? Oh, they have this great charity called $1 a Day. Mental health is a very important thing in our province, and it's something that we need to all help bridge the gap, because there aren't enough services. So they have a charity where you give $1 a day, and the money goes to help mental health organizations in the province. And they have an initiative on, if you join up, you get a free copy of the signed book. But I suppose most people here will have a copy of the book get signed, so you don't need that. But it's a great thing to get involved in, and if you can, spread the word and think about helping us, because it's a real crisis in our province, and it's something we can address and help fix. So
it is. And thank you to you for being part of that, and and volunteering to be part of that. That's amazing.
Wicked. Well, thanks everybody.
Thank you so much for coming. We hope you enjoy the book and you will.